Hello and welcome to episode 65 of Into the Podcast. I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined each and every goddamn week by the beautiful co-host, Ryan. How are you, co-host, Ryan?
I'm very well, thank you, co-host Sam. How are you?
Mate, I'm very well, you know. I've just been out mingling with the stars, haven't I?
You have, and I'm very jealous.
Spent all day yesterday in a glorious, it was so hot yesterday, glorious field in this like farm, little and running around with lambs and shit. And I was just hanging out with Bluey and Bingo, wasn't I? So...
Big time that is, mate.
Proper big time. I sent you and Claire a picture of me and Bluey that I cropped my own child out of.
I love that. It's the sort of picture you would get printed off and framed in your living room. Your own child cropped out of it. Best day ever, me and Bluey.
Honestly, we queued up for ages and then they like walked you around, so it was like a big U shape around this like paddock where they were inside, and was like, oh come on, we'll get there nice and early, Bobby, so you can see them. And then we queued up for ages, got in like first, and then they started on the complete opposite end of this like massive U shape, and they were going down and getting photos with everyone on the way around. So we was first in queuing for ages and the last ones to have photos.
Oh, that's a pain in the backside.
Oh, for fuck's sake. And they come up and I'm like, oh, here they come, Bobby, here they come. And then I got really excited. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was there with Bobby's mum as well. I was like, take photos. And I went, Bluey, you're my favourite. And she just started stroking my hair.
I love that. I love the idea as well that they're getting closer and then you start getting a little bit nervous because I know what you're like with famous people.
Oh, I did, mate. I could feel it in here. I was like, oh no. Oh, she's here.
Oh, it's so good. It looked great though. It looked like a great day out.
I know, and I don't know if you've noticed, got a bit of a tan as well. Well, a bit more red than tan, but yeah, I've caught a bit
Caught
of
the sun, yeah.
So I will
Very
say
nice.
on that, obviously me and Ryan can see each other because we are recording this on Discord. We have had nothing but ball ache when it's come to trying to record online, as you've heard over the last few weeks. But we're hoping we've both got new microphones and I'm trying out different sound cards and this, that, and the other. The quality won't be as good, but we're hoping that would be good enough quality to release an episode. Because unfortunately, with it being bank holiday, me and Ryan can't get together. It would have meant us not getting together till later on in the week, which would have meant a late podcast or no podcast. And obviously, we want to try avoid doing this as much as we can, just so we can get together and we can give you decent quality, but needs musts on episodes. You might just have to deal with me and Ryan online.
Yeah, and we'd rather get something out, wouldn't we, every week rather than we've been pretty bad recently because we've just been busy and things not working. So hopefully this is good enough, but needs must sometimes.
Needs must, mate, needs must. So you have been busy over the weekend. You went to a wedding.
I was at a wedding, at my uncle's wedding back in the northeast where I was born.
How was it?
It was lovely. It was nice to see everyone because, you know, it's like a lot of people you don't ever see unless it's like big events like
weddings and funerals.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like because people like my uncle and stuff live in Australia, so like they've come over and it's just nice to get together. And my family all like a drink as well, so it's always just a nice get together, and chilled.
You didn't have one of them beers, did you?
I might have had a couple.
Did you? Try a beer? Yeah,
I did. And do you know what I did have for the first time ever? I had a 0% Guinness.
Oh, on tap?
It wasn't on tap, it was a can. Okay. But it's the first time I've seen one because loads of people have said to me that they're really, really good. Have you had one?
No, I've not found them. Like I've found them in shops, but I've not found one in a bar yet. I would because I really want to try it. How was it? Yeah,
it was really good. I really enjoyed it because loads of people have said to me, "Oh, it's just as good." Well, not as good, but like as close to it you're going to get for a 0% drink. And even though I was drinking, I just saw it and I was like, I'm going to have to get one of them. Get it on the app as well. Get it on Untapped.
Of course.
But that was really nice. I think zero, and you know, I took it nice and steady.
Lovely.
I woke up yesterday. I felt fresh.
Good,
and that's. I think it might be the way forward. Mixing in some 0% or low alcohol beers, just maybe every few drinks.
Yeah, I like that.
Just because it still feels like you're drinking. You know, you stood there with a pint, and it just looks like a Guinness.
Yeah.
I think you'd struggle with that if you had a normal Guinness first.
Okay.
And then now that one afterwards, you'd be like, oh, this tastes like watered down. It's a bit shitty or whatever.
Yeah.
If you just drank that all night long, I think you'd be onto a winner.
Yeah. I went to Asda a couple of days ago and they had 20 bottles of Budweiser for a tenner. Now, Budweiser in the sun, that's kind of my go-to. I don't drink a lot of lager, but it's good because it's cheap. You can have it in the fridge and it's the spot.
Yeah.
And also, it's very rare these days you find 50p bottles. So I was like...
It is, yeah.
Get that in the fridge. So last night I played a bit of Helldivers with our boy Max.
So good that that's working for us now.
Finally got it working, which was really good fun. But he called it at like 10 o'clock and I kind of had the gaming bug. So I texted my mate Tal and we jumped on Rocket League. I was like, I'll have a couple of beers whilst I'm playing. Problem with Rocket League is whenever a goal scored or something like that, you're swigging.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on. So I ended up drinking like 10 bottles last night. and like, I think we played till about 1. And about 12:30, I was like, fucking, I'm struggling to see the screen now because obviously it's such fast paced and
yeah.
Like, whoo, oh God.
You could make a fantastic drinking game to Rocket League, couldn't you?
Easy, we should. We'll do that and we'll stream it.
Definitely do that one time because when I was at uni, Budweiser's all I drank. We'd get crates of Bud in because, like you said, cheap and cheerful, especially in the sunshine. And then we created a drinking game to FIFA. So that's all we'd be doing. Same thing as Rocket League. Like every time the ball is scored or goes out of play, you're just swigging. Paired that with a drinking game and you'd play 2 or 3 games of FIFA and you'd be blind drunk straight away.
Yeah.
I had a Budweiser on Saturday as well, actually.
How was
first time in a long time. It was a bottle.
Okay.
It was like, the drinks on arrival after the ceremony,
Yeah.
So they had like, your standard, I can't remember, like Bucks Fizz type or orange or Budweisers. So I was like, I'll have a Budweiser. It's been a long, long time since I had Budweiser. It's been that long, mate. I hadn't even checked it in on Untapped on my beer app. Even though I've checked in like 630 other beers, I've never checked in a Budweiser.
No way, really?
Yeah, so it's just one of them that I've obviously just missed, assumed that I've always done it because it's a standard drink. Even, because I go into a pub now and I look for the weird and wonderful pints.
Oh, God, absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, nice.
Yeah, so we'll do that then. We'll create the rules to Rocket League drinking game.
Yeah.
And on one random Friday night or whatever, when we got it free, we'll get streaming and we'll just play 3-4 hours of Rocket League and just see how dead we can be by the end of it.
Yeah, sounds good. That'd be hilarious.
I think that'd be a bit easier to do than the Royal Rumble drinking game, which is coming. We'll still stream that at some point, but the legal issues I'm more worried about. The legality.
Much more difficult, isn't it? Whereas the Rocket League is fast paced as well.
Yeah.
Like Royal Rumble's a slow burner of a drinking game. Speaking of WWE and wrestling, our favourite topic to talk about, I sent you a video yesterday of some of the highlights, or it was just a clip from WWE Backlash. So they did a main event in France.
Yeah.
So like a pay-per-view event, and I can never recall there being an event in France.
I've never
before.
known. To be fair, I don't know of many European ones at all.
Yeah. So it's very rare that they do the European ones, even though the European fans go crazy for it. Mm-hmm. And the French fans at this event are probably the greatest fans I've ever seen at a wrestling event.
Really?
Yeah, like I saw a clip, the one I sent you, and it's just all the fans, all got the phones up, they're all chanting, and it's just deafening, and the atmosphere is insane. So I went on, because I've still got the WWE subscription, so I went on and put that match on of Jey Uso versus Damian Priest, and the fans, they're chanting every time there's a pin. They're like earn, and then they go into this big chant when they're like the knockout with the pin, and every song, like every intro, they're just going 20, 100 miles an hour all the time. There is no lull. And I've been looking at all the comments because that's all my social media is. It's just filled with wrestling videos, and all the comments are like greatest crowd ever in a WWE event, and all the American audiences are like, oh my god, like we should be grateful because like these are all putting us to shame, basically.
Yeah. Of course.
But hopefully that'll mean that there'll be more main events over here. But it just made me think, like, I know we love wrestling. but wrestling is nothing without the fans. The fans and the atmosphere that they create.
Well, look what happened during COVID. It just wasn't the same, was it? Like,
no, exactly.
It wasn't fun. I mean, I've never been big into watching it all the time, but like, again, my social media is just full of it. And, as soon as it was just, the crowd was just live streamed fans. It was just a bit shit. It was quiet. It was. You need that energy. Like any sporting event, you need that energy. You need that.
Yeah,
that noise in the background to play, like at football when a goal scored, that cheer, that
exactly
to the crowd and everyone's hugging and going mad, and that's what makes these sports.
Exactly, and that's why I love wrestling, because I don't actually care that much about the wrestling or the moves or the technical. It's just the atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah.
And exactly the same as football. There's nothing better than going to like a live football event and getting caught up in the atmosphere. Like, look at us when we went to go watch Chesterfield play.
Oh God, yeah.
You're not big into football, and no one really supported the people that we're watching. But by the end of the game, we're all going mental. Beers are everywhere. Like, we're ready to fight the away fans.
Yeah,
it's just good fun.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I can't remember who they were playing.
It was Chesterfield versus, I want to say Barnet. I think it was Barnet.
It was Barnet, because I'd never heard of him before. I was like, what is a Barnet?
I think it was quite a big game at the time, because it was first v second. So it was like, there was a lot riding on it. So it was a bit, again, the atmosphere in the ground was like palpable. You could just feel it. It didn't matter that you didn't really support in either team. But
and then second half, you just like hooked up on bloody peppery pies and shit.
Yeah, I know. Good. We'll have to try and get to a WWE event as well.
Oh, definitely, mate. As soon as it's here, we'll get
even just like a house show or something.
Oh
just
God,
good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Just fun. Just good fun.
Talking of going to see shows.
Yes.
You see how I slipped that one in there, mate?
That was nice. Honestly, it's like we're professionals.
Always trying to find them segues, my friend. We went to see a show.
We did.
So
we went to London.
We did go to London. We released the episode a couple of hours late last week, because we recorded just before we hit the road to go watch Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away, the European theatre production, which first time out of Japan, I think, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
So what did you think, right? Tell us all about the day.
It was a long day.
It was a
great day.
It was a great day. People will probably have seen how excited you was taking the tube down there by the video I shared on Facebook and Insta.
What that video doesn't do is give context to the people that were stood next to us.
It really does not give
like these absolute gremlins that had come on the tube, and then me and you were just looking at each other like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
yeah, they were dancing, pretending to be cats, I think.
And dressed in the absolute weirdest outfits.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day as well. There was very little clothing. We were just both kind of uncomfortable.
Very, very uncomfortable.
As the video of me clearly shows.
It was just very loud, very excited for whatever they was going to do. Like I said, very little clothing. And what it was very odd sort of clothing, and just bouncing about, pretending to be a cat, I think. And the whole time I was just thinking, I'm concerned for you.
Yes.
I'm a little bit concerned, like, because you're going to get off the tube in a minute and carry on doing that out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where
but
at least nothing.
Oh no!
This is dangerous. Like, I don't know. I just felt really uncomfortable with the whole situation.
And to be honest, I was just glad that they were getting away from us by that point. I was like, oh.
We just went for some nice sophistication.
Exactly. We were going to the theatre.
The theatre, darling.
Exactly.
So we left yours. It was about 2 and 3/4 hour drive down there.
Yeah.
To be fair, the drive wasn't bad at all, really, was it?
No, we were blasting out the Lonely Island all the way.
Literally, for 2.5 hours, we just listened to Lonely Island, didn't we?
I haven't listened to them for years and years, but you just forget how many bangers they absolutely have.
Oh, God, like one like every other song is a banger. There's some that are just standard, but like every other song is an absolute banger, you know, word for word.
Word
the best
for
thing
word.
about it was the drive. It was like the first hot day of the year. It was lovely.
It was, yeah.
So we had the windows down. I don't think we spoke the whole way down there. We just sang.
We just sang. So that was good fun. The tube ride in was interesting, as everyone's seen. And then we got to the London Coliseum where the show was, and we went into the shop, didn't we? Because we wanted a bit of hoping for some memorabilia.
Yeah, well, I said to you, didn't I? I said, if they've got merch, I'm hoping they've got like little no-face plushes, because I'd love to get a little no-face teddy for Bobby, because I mean, she's got plushes everywhere and teddies everywhere, and I was really excited. I'd never shown her the Ghibli stuff before, so I was looking forward to introducing her. So I was going to give her this teddy and was going to watch the film together. And to be fair, we timed it really well, because we was going to queue up, but then went, now we'll go get a coffee. Sat and drank the coffee. We ended up in quite a long queue, but it's just bang, 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 straight in. Like, we didn't stop once in this queue. Nipped into the shop, and you said to me, you went, what's the max you're going to pay for this plush? Because we saw it in the window, and it was tiny. It was palm-sized, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it really was.
I went, really, I want to pay 20 quid, because that's a lot for that. But I will pay 25, and if you buy one for Claire and it's 30, I'll end up buying one. How much was it, Ryan?
£40.
40 fucking quid for this palm-sized teddy.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So, I mean, they had some really weird merch there, didn't they? Like, they had the standard T-shirts and, like, pin badges. And the pin badge, I bought a pin badge. They were quite cool.
The pin badges were quite nice, yeah. But they're like dishes posters, and like laptop cases.
Microfiber cloths.
A microfiber cloth. What? But yet no prints, no posters, no like... They're the big thing. You thought they would be the big sellers, because they were all over like the atrium and all down the street and stuff, all these really nice prints, because the actual concept art for this theatre production I thought was really nice, because it was Chihiro, who's the girl, the main character, and she's like sort of the shape of her... Well, the dragon spirit... Haku's character is like wrapped around her, so it gives like that silhouette of both characters together. It's like a beautiful thing. It's like, and they were on the t-shirts, but why not have a really nice print of that? Because I would have definitely got one of them.
Oh God, and they're charging through the nose for everything, so you're gonna buy one.
Yeah,
I spent £7.50 on 2 cans of Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
£7.50.
I know, outrageous, isn't it?
It's ridiculous, but. We got there. I bought this little pin badge, and I bought a program, and the programs they were 15 quid, but it was a good program. Really
good quality, wasn't it? It was nice and thick, really good, really well made.
Lots of information about everyone that was in it, even down to the orchestra, about the story of Spirited Away. Just real good program. Got in there, sat down. Now the next 15 to 20 minutes are rocky, aren't they?
Very, very rocky.
The Coliseum is where we were. Now, I'm saying I cheaped out when I bought these tickets. At the time, I was dating someone, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get these tickets because I don't think we're probably going to be dating by the time this comes around. But I know me and Ryan really want to go see this. So best case scenario, I'm going to go with the person I'm dating. If not, me and Ryan are going to go see Spirited Away. So I just bought like the 25, 30 quid tickets. And they were 25 quid worth of fucking seat, weren't they? I mean, we were on the very top balcony. Obviously, like any, I guess, theatre like that, it's all like semicircle, like going around. But where we were sat, it cut off a third of the stage, so you couldn't see a third of the stage already.
Yeah, it's because the seats weren't steep enough, were they? Yeah. So they were sort of they were too shallow. So the further back you got, you couldn't see over the lip of the balcony. And
then not only could you not see over the lip, it wasn't steep enough. So if 2 rows in front of you, someone leant forward, it blocked the rest of the stage. Which everybody, because sort of I was getting pissed off when a woman like 2 in front of us, but I was like, but we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like we can't help it. So we moved across to sit on the very end, because where that was, there was no one in front of us and no one behind us, so we're not blocking anyone's view. And this woman come over who worked there and was like, are these your seats? And I was like, look, no, I'm really sorry, but we only moved over one seat each, didn't we?
Yeah, and there were the aisle seats and they were empty. And the show had already started by that point as well.
God, yeah. And I was just like, look, I'm really sorry, we can't actually see. She went, well, we save them for people that turn up late and they're not your seats. And at this point, I was pissed off because I was like, this is going to be, I was really looking forward to this and this is going to be a shit experience. And I just went, look, so what you're telling me is we can't sit here because these aren't our seats, but you're going to sit people here when it's not their seats.
Yeah.
Because they're late.
Makes no sense.
I wasn't late. I was on time. And I can't see. So I said, look, if somebody comes, we'll move. I was like, as it stands right now, you don't need to sit anyone here, and I can't see. So please. And she was just like, well, okay, fine. And then she did bring some people down, but like sat them in front of us, and we didn't end up having to move. But for the first 15 to 20 minutes of this show, couldn't see anything. The seats were so uncomfortable. Yeah,
it was hot as well, wasn't it? It was like an oven in there.
And the problem was, so the show was scene to scene from the film, which was great.
Yeah.
But the intro before they get to the bathhouse and stuff, it was only the front of the stage because they had a big
screen down, didn't they?
So it was like, well, we're fucked. We physically can't see half of the stage at this point. But once that opened up and the full stage was there, it made it a lot better.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we sort of calmed down a little bit, uncomfortable the whole way. My back was killing me the whole way, but just fully got lost in the show.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Once we just accepted, right, this is what it is. And the stage opened up and it was really it got a lot deeper. We could see pretty much everything by that point, to be fair. Very much got lost in the magic of it all.
Definitely.
And it's a shame about the seat situation because the show itself was phenomenal. It was absolutely magical the whole way through, really. It had a live orchestra. The music for Spirited Away and Studio Ghibli films in general is beautiful. It's really soft and lots of piano-based music, but it's just very relaxing. There's I quite often will just if I'm need to concentrate or something, I'll just put Studio Ghibli ambience on. In the background. It's just so you get swept up in that. The costumes were incredible because, Spirited Away, the film, it's about a girl that gets trapped in a spirit world and is in a bathhouse. Yeah. And so there's lots of spirits come visit it to get cleaned up and stuff. But they're all weird and wonderful, like a big radish monster or a big dragons. And even some of the main characters, the woman who runs the bath, who runs it? Yubaba. She's got a weird, oversized head and stuff, and she has a baby, but he's a giant baby, and then there's
and then the boiler man.
The boiler man who's like a spider. So it's all crazy, weird, and wonderful creatures, and it's in an animation that's easy enough done. Even for the animation, you're this is crazy, this is weird and wonderful, but to pull that off in a stage production, it was fantastic, wasn't it? You got, because you made a good point, is there's loads of stagehands. Obviously, so for someone like the Boiler Man, Kamaji, he's like a human, but imagine a human with 8 arms, like a spider.
Yeah.
So you've got all these stagehands moving his arms around everywhere. So there's 6 or 7 people just for this one guy, or this one character. But you don't even notice. You just get absorbed in it. You just accept it.
Oh, it's mad. So one of the arm, so he's got his own arms that's pulling on pulleys and rotating wheels and stuff. But then, so the stagehands will be just holding a stick that's got his second arm in, but then their hand is the hand for that arm.
Yeah.
And, so they're moving around and doing all this. And then there's scenes in the film where he then goes to reach for something the other side of the stage. So at that point, someone will do it. It's dip down and someone with an extra long arm will come and go grab it.
And just
back,
down.
But the suck gremlins, I mean, if you're into Studio Ghibli, they're in quite a few of the films. They are literally just little balls of soot, and they are they've
come to life, haven't they?
With a stick, with little balls of black on the end of it.
Yeah.
But you're that invested that these stagehands, they're not there. You can see them, but they are the character.
Yeah, absolutely. You fully accept that it's just the character, and it's just done so well. And the stage itself, like the set design was fantastic, wasn't it?
It
was
was
like
insane.
So it was just a main, like one set really that was on like a rotating, one building that just rotated, and it just rotated round. So then, you might have like the boiler set, and then it'd spin round to the next scene, and on the back it'd be the bathhouse. And then they'd rotate it around again, it'd be something else. And it just worked so well. It's a huge, big set, really.
Yeah.
And even like around the stage itself, they had like trees and flowers and like shrubbery everywhere. And I mean, there's a major thing that we haven't even touched on.
I know.
It was all in Japanese.
It was subtitled.
It was a subtitled show.
I don't know
crazy.
why I didn't think that this Japanese show coming to the UK for the first time wouldn't be in English.
I know.
That is really shit of me to not think of that.
Well, it's because I always watch Studio Ghibli stuff in English, which is one. It's one of the few things that I do, because I never watch stuff that's dubbed. Like if I watch Japanese films, or, I'm a big fan of Japanese films, I'll always watch it in Japanese with the subtitles. But I think because Studio Ghibli, because it's anime, it's not obvious that it's dubbed, because the lips aren't synced anyway.
Yeah.
So it works, and they get big actors to come in and do the cast. So it's like a proper production,
Yeah.
For like in like Howl's Moving Castle and stuff, they've got like, Howl's voiced by like Christian Bale and people like that. Princess Mononoke is Claire Danes, so they get like big like Hollywood actors to voice them. So it works. So I just didn't, as we sat down, I think I turned to you and I was like, do you reckon it's going to be in Japanese? I hadn't even thought, because it's obviously all Japanese cast. It's obviously the Japanese production that had come over from Japan. But again, that worked really well, because they had like the subtitles in the shrubbery that was around the stage. And it's just so clever, because they just synced it, and it must have just all been timed.
You couldn't see the screens. So it was really clever, because I was like, this really looks like subtitles. It wasn't just like a screen with the English words on. It was so well disguised. So it was center and stage left, stage right, just in the shrubbery, and the letters just sort of illuminated. It looked outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't off-putting in the slightest. The subtitles were in the right places to be able to sort of glance at them, and I mean, it helps when you know the film. But,
yes, of course.
Just to be able to sort of glance at them, but still sort of, pay attention to what's going on stage. So I've never, I've been to quite a few like theatre productions, but they're always of like Blood Brothers and stuff. So nothing where there's no monsters or anything to create. So like that side of it I was really interested in, and it just did not fail. Like you say, the stage hands were phenomenal, and I think both you and me discussed No Face was incredible. So for those of you that are aware of the film, like you'll know the transition that No Face goes in, but those that aren't, so No Face is this like spirit that's just a black cloak and a white mask. Most people will have seen that white mask.
Yes, it's a very famous image of like the Studio Ghibli world.
Oh, absolutely. Between that and like Totoro, they're the big uns. And this creature goes through this. So it's just a spirit, very slim, very straight. But then becomes a monster. It starts becoming greedy, and it gets bigger and bigger, and then these weird arms and legs come out, and this massive mouth when it starts eating people, and so it goes from this transformation from just like this skinny character to this huge monster. And when I was reading through the program at the end, like there was 10 people who was part of the No Face team, and it was done so brilliantly. Just when it was a slim character, the actor who played that was like a ballet performer, so the movements were not just beautiful, very creepy, because
they were
moved like really chill, really nice, like it was jolting left, right.
It's like a weird like spirit like flicking round, wasn't it? Flicking across the stage, and it's really like unorthodox movements.
His body moved in ways that I didn't think was possible, and it really sort of set this creature up for what we was going to get. And
absolutely.
then as it's getting bigger, like it's just then 10 people in black clothing with a big cloak over them, like doing the movements for the mouths and the arms. It was just unreal. Like,
yeah, it was.
Every time
at every level.
Every time you saw No Face on that stage, just like, fuck, this is going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. It really was. And it was like a big production as well. They got a lot of characters in it, wasn't there? There was a lot of cast, a lot of crew. Like, I think for me, it was just before the interval was probably one of the best moments, and it's the scene in the film where this big monster comes in, this big spirit, and he's all like, they call him like a rotten god or whatever. He's all slimy and gross, and they have to. And Chihiro or Sin gets tasked with having to clean him because he's gross and no one else wants to, and they end up having to pull this thorn out of him, and everyone's pulling on this rope, and they got their like. It was they did quite a lot of tricks, didn't they? Like magic. So Yubaba, who's a sorcerer, she like conjures this rope, and suddenly this big rope just appears in all the cast's hands. It's like, one of them was an audible gasp from the audience.
Yeah.
And then they're all pulling all this slime and stuff out of it. And then like the smoke on the stage, and then the spirit comes out, and it's just basically a head with like a piece of cloth long, and then it's just on a stick, and a guy just runs around, and it's just like as if the spirit's flying around the stage, and it looks amazing, and it flies off the stage, and then everyone bursts into song and dance. It's like a synchronized dance, and it was just insane. It was one of those moments that takes your breath away because it's just so beautiful.
It
and
was breathtaking.
And then everyone just absolutely erupted into applause, and was just. Because it was a staggering moment, and then that was just before the interval. But it was just done so well. Like another one of my favourite scenes from the film. It's kind of not a nothing scene, so I don't want to take away anything from it. It's just a beautiful scene. It's where they get on the train near the end, and they go to visit Zeniba, and they're just sat on the train, these characters, and nothing's happening. So it's just a nice bit of animation where they're sat on the train, it's just chugging along. There's all these spirits on it, they're getting on and off. There is no dialogue in this scene for a good couple of minutes.
Music of this, isn't it?
It's just,
to make the atmosphere.
The music's beautiful. They've got the scene changing behind as this like sunsets come in, and sort of you can see across the sea, and it gets into forest and marshlands. And it's in the film, it's just a beautiful, beautiful moment. And they managed to replicate that beauty just as well in the stage production.
Absolutely,
It was, I mean, it was just phenomenal. I want to see it again. It's one of them. It's not very often, like exactly like you said. I've seen a lot of like the classics. You go see like Shakespeare or whatever, and it's impressive. But I don't get that urge to, oh my god, I need to see that again.
Yeah.
Whereas with that, I want to see it straight away. I think I said to you at the intervals, like if I could get, because we're filming it, if I could get a copy of that, I would buy that straight away, because that's something I would rewatch just as much as I'd rewatch the film.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think, if it comes back next year or the year after, wherever we'll go, but we'll definitely put the money into it this time. We'll try and sit down. So we can see everything properly. Because the thing about being so high is as well, and it didn't take anything away, but you could see, because we were top left, so we can see right at the back, and we can see sort of slightly behind the stage on the right. So you can see people getting ready to come on, and it doesn't take the magic away, but ever so slightly does. Like, it'd be nice to be completely oblivious and ignorant to what's going on either side, and just slightly behind. You want to see face value as if it's on TV. You don't want to see the behind the scenes workings of it. You just want to see the show. So it'd be great to sit down bottom if you can.
Yeah, and it's one of them where, it's, you take a gamble sometimes, and you think, well, we've got nothing to lose because, we've got fairly cheap tickets to something, and if it's naff, you're not lost anything. If it's great, which it was, we've absolutely gained. Now that we know that the quality of it, if it comes around again, absolutely go. Or if they do an adaptation of another one like Totoro or Howls or something.
Totoro they did last year, so
yes, they did.
Totoro back, we'll go. Howls, I don't know if they do one, but I mean, if they did Howl's Moving Castle, we're all over it. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely.
How they'd pull that off would be something special. So I did sit down after that. I got quite excited, so I did introduce Little Un to Spirited Away. it was hard graft because she had a lot of questions, and this is the thing when you're watching a film with a 6-year-old. So what's his character's name? Oh, that's Chihiro. So understanding we have to keep repeating names to her because, Japanese names and stuff. But she's asking, so in the end, I'm like, Bobby, watch the film and you'll know why this person is doing that. And, trying to explain some of the stuff that as a 6-year-old she might not pick up. But she's like, yeah, but why? Yeah, but why? And I'm like, shut the fuck up and watch the film, man. Like, just watch it.
Yeah.
She absolutely loved it. Like, we went to this farm yesterday and we went in the pig pens and she's like, oh, and there was these 2 massive pigs. And she went, oh, Daddy, look, it's Chihiro's mummy and daddy. And I was like, yes, my child is quoting anime. That's so cool.
That is so good.
But me being me, obviously, because I apparently like to just stay in debt and spunk all my money on just shit, because I couldn't get a plush toy for my daughter, I went online to see if I can get them any cheaper, which, by the way, for 35 quid, you can get one that's like this big.
Right, yeah.
That is huge. But I didn't do that. I thought, what's the next best thing? A plush teddy? No, I bought a cosplay outfit of No Face. so I bought an outfit for 15 quid, may I ask?
That is a bargain.
May I say? So it's the same price as that thingy cost me. But so me and Littleton went to Comic-Con last year or the year before, I can't remember, as Grogu and the Mandalorian.
Which was so good.
And we ended up doing it for Halloween last year as well. And I was like, oh, these are great. But I mean, them 2 costumes cost me 150 quid. But I was like, I really like the idea of us doing stuff together in matching outfits. So I saw this no face outfit for so cheap, and Chihiro is white t-shirt, pink shorts. Yeah, so I was like, oh fuck it, yeah. So I bought it. I've already got the pink shorts and the white t-shirt for Bobby. So now she's seen it, she's well excited to go to Comic-Con dressed as Chihiro and No Face.
That's amazing. That's going to look so cool.
Awesome, isn't it? So yeah, I introduced her to Spirited Away. I didn't get a chance over the weekend to introduce her to any of the others, but I personally watched Totoro and Howl's Moving Castle. Yeah. I did put on Princess Mononoke, but it's 2 hours, 20 minutes, and I didn't have a lot of time, and I didn't want to get halfway through it, so I was like, I'll put this on when I've got the time to actually pay attention.
Yeah.
Which Ghibli film is your favourite?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it's probably Howl's Moving Castle. Yeah. But that was the one I was introduced to first. So I first got introduced to Studio Ghibli. It was through Drew Flanagan Music. Mm-hmm. When we were in Australia, he had it on his laptop or like a dodgy copy of Howl. So we used to just stick that on like to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
And then, so I just had like an affinity with that film. And then when I came back to the UK, I was like, I've never heard of this like company before. I'm going to get some more of the others. Looked into it, and that's when I got like copies of Spirited Away and Howls for myself. So I used to watch those 2 all the time. They became like films. Even now, not very often I'll watch something to fall asleep to, but if I do, it'll be usually one of those 2 films.
Yeah.
So I quite like Howls. It's obviously it's based on an actual story, Howl's Moving Castle, but I think it's by like a British author, and it's a story of Howl, he's a wizard, and it's a world of wizards, and like it's a bit of civil war, and it's quite like a steampunky world, and it's all about the main character is a girl called Sophie who gets caught up in the middle of it, and she has a spell cast on her. She's turned into an old lady, and she can't tell anyone about it. So it's all about her, and she gets caught up with Howl, and it's like all Studio Ghibli films. It doesn't follow like a linear path at all. You have no idea where the film's going. It's all over the place, but it's just flooded with beautiful animation, beautiful music, and
great characters.
Great characters, really interesting, weird and wonderful creatures. Calcifer, who's fantastic, the fire demon.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's weird how these films capture moments. Like there's a bit in Howl's where she finds Howl's castle. It's a moving castle. She's in the waste. So it's like she's basically in the mountains, and it's cold and dark, and she needs to find shelter. And then Howl's castle comes walking past, and she manages to break in, tiptoes in. There's like a fire just crackling away, and just the sound of it, like the fire crackling and the wind howling outside, it just makes you like automatically like snuggle up and like think, that looks cozy. And she just like gets all cozy by the fire on a chair, throws a couple more logs on, and she starts falling asleep. And it just makes you feel what she's feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Instantly. That's what's the beauty of this sort of animation, I think. It really puts you in that moment. And there's a scene not long after that where it's like they're making breakfast, and she gets the frying pan on the fire on Calcifer, and she's cracking some eggs into it, frying some bacon, and it makes my mouth water every time, even though it's just animated bacon and eggs frying. It's just incredible. So that's what I love about these films.
That scene, because Howl in it is fantastic. He's such like a sensitive, like the way he talks in Zone 2. Like he's very chill, and I love him as a character. But in that scene, like she's making breakfast and he's like, right, sit down, pass me 3 more slices of bacon and 6 more eggs. And then he starts cracking these eggs into things. I'm like, you're never going to fit 6 eggs in there.
I know, yeah.
And when I was watching it, I was like, what are you doing? Get another pan out in our bed.
Madness. So I think Howl's is my favourite. It's literally like, it's a comfort film for me. All 3 of the ones we've talked about, what we're going to talk about, so My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, and Howl's, they're my 3 favourites, and the 3 I've watched constantly. They're on my list of favourite films of all time.
All 3 of them?
All 3 of them, yeah. I mean, I'm creating a big list, aren't I? I'm trying to narrow it down, but I think I've got about 30 to 40 films written down in no particular order, but they're currently on there because it's just my go-to comfort films. I just put them on, and that just makes me feel happy. My Neighbor Totoro is one that we came across a bit more recently because they're all on Netflix. I don't think a lot of people know. They're all on Netflix.
A lot of Ghibli on there. A lot.
Yeah, there is. And that one's a bit more... It's not as fantasy as the other 2 because it's about two kids, like 2 siblings. It's still massively fantasy, but it's set in like the real world, isn't it? It's set in sort of like, I don't know, 1950s Japan, maybe something like that. So they move out to the country with the dad because the mum's not very well, so she's in a hospital, and then they move into a new house, and the tree spirit, who's like Totoro, they're getting caught up with, but a lot of it's just the 2 girls just run around playing, and
it's kind of the whole story. I think this film is probably more aimed at kids than anything else. Like, this is one that I was like, this might even be a little bit too childish for my kid who's, just under 7, like she's 6, because that's under 7. But actually watching it, I was like, fuck, this has really dark undertones. Like, kind of the whole premise of the story is those 2's fear of losing their mum, who's in hospital, very unwell. And, for a while now, they keep being told that mum's coming home and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't tell you what she's got, I don't think.
No.
Mum's coming home, and then they're all getting ready for her to come home. But then the doctor rings and is like, look, she can't come home because she's unwell. She's got to stay with us for longer. And that's when the little girl goes missing because she had some corn that she wanted to give to her mum. So she's trying to take her in the hospital. And it's just this beautiful story, but at the same time, very sad. Like, the kids are terrified that they're going to lose their mum. And there's a scene where the elder of the 2 she just starts bawling her eyes out to the granny. And she's just like, what am I going to do if we lose her?
Yeah.
What am I going to do if our mum isn't here anymore because she's died? And I nearly cried, man. Like, watching that. Obviously, recently I've been through a bit with my mum, so I was like, fucking hell, this is really like hard hitting.
I know. That's the great thing about these films. It can just turn on in a moment, can't it? It can be like a scene where you're watching like these kids with this giant bear creature type thing, Totoro,
really
the spirit
as well, like,
and just like doesn't say anything, just sort of growls, and doing weird dances or flying on a spinning top through the sky, and then the next minute she's just crying to a neighbour because she's scared that her mum's going to die, and it's all sort of about like childhood innocence and stuff, isn't it? Because all of these, most of the classic Studio Ghibli films are created by, I'm going to butcher his name, but it's like Hayao Miyazaki, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's the director and the writer and the creator of most of these. I think he created Studio Ghibli, so he's sort of like the grandfather. but he's sort of like the grandfather of it all, isn't he? And I'm sure I read that Totoro's one of the stories that's a little bit more biographical, because I think that's what happened to him when he was a kid. They moved out to the country because his mum wasn't very well. I think she had like TB or something like that. So they're like, get out into the country, the fresh air and stuff will help you. So very similar sort of things. He was a little kid. They moved out to the country. His mum was in hospital, and there was that fear that he was going to lose his mum. So that's a little bit biographical, that film. I think she recovered and everything, and it was all fine. But just interesting how these stories come out.
Absolutely. And again, like this is undertones of just pure sadness. Like Totoro himself is just like the animation style of this creature is so funny because he's so big. So like when they do his features and he's growling, because all he can say is like Totoro, and that's how I know what his name is. But like when he smiles and his eyes go big, like he just looks so funny. And that scene again, like in Spirited Away, where they have the train stop when they sat on the train, they have a very similar scene in this where they're waiting at a bus stop in the rain.
Very similar, yeah.
So they give Totoro this umbrella, and big drops keep dropping on it, and like he loves the sound of it, and he's like, so he keeps banging to make more drops come out. It's so funny, and like just like that, like I say, that childhood innocence, and it's fantastic, and
it is. And that's one of my favourite scenes, and it's probably one of the most iconic scenes from a Studio Ghibli film. It's just the two kids sat waiting for their dad to come home from work at the bus stop. It's at night. It's pouring rain. They're sat there with an umbrella, and then Totoro comes to just look after them, really, and stand guard, I guess, whilst they're waiting for the dad. And then they're just that innocence with the umbrella and stuff. Again, it's just beautiful. Next to no dialogue in it at all.
No,
it's just, but you are caught up in that world. I absolutely love those films. There's still quite a few that I haven't seen. Trying to think.
That's my that's my thing at the minute. Is I'm going to try get through all of them on Netflix. And The Boy and the Heron, I think that it's on Disney or Amazon. It's on something. I remember
that's his latest one and his last one he's ever making.
Yes,
The Boy and the Heron, and it just won the Oscar, didn't it? The Academy Award for best animated film.
So I'm going to get through as many as I can over the next few weeks and just really go to town on the Ghibli stuff, because I love them, and there's so many that I haven't seen. I mean, when we watched Porco Rosso recently, it wasn't really. It doesn't stand up to the classics of the three we just mentioned. But I want to blast through them. I really want to rewatch Princess Mononoke, because I loved that. That was probably up there as one of my favourites when I watched it a few years ago. And just really go to town and enjoy them. And again, something I can enjoy with Little, and we can sit down together, we can watch. Now she's a little bit more into anime and she's more accepting of it. We've not got to watch the same old crap. It would be nice to sit down and enjoy these films together with some snacks and some popcorn and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, because they are stunning. I mean, I think they're just timeless as well, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Just looking here at Spirited Away on IMDb, it's got 8.6.
That's mad.
And it's currently ranked the 32nd greatest film of all time.
Agreed.
It's insane. Like, it's an animated film. It's just mad. It's just a mad film, but it's, sitting there at 32nd greatest film of all time. Totoro 8.1, Howl's Moving Castle 8.2. They're all critically acclaimed, sitting in like the list of some of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people haven't come across them before yet. They're all on Netflix, so
get them watched.
Go watch them.
Yeah. Speaking of My Little and watching her, I think I've mentioned to you before that I need to be careful about the sort of stuff she's watching, because she watches a lot of YouTube, and she's mentioned some stuff to me that was a bit like, how that sounds weird, what are you watching? And when the Boiler Man came on Spirited Away, she went, he looks like Slender Man. And I was like, how the fuck at 6-year-old do you know what Slender Man is? So obviously there's some videos she's been watching. So anyway, last night I went downstairs and she said, oh, Daddy, can I watch one more episode of something in your bed? And then I'll go to bed myself. I said, yeah, all right, because the TV in her room's broke. I said, yeah, you can watch one episode of something, go to bed afterwards. Anyway, I went up to bed at 1 o'clock last night. She's fast asleep and I could hear the TV as I'm going up the stairs. I was like, what is that? Like gun sounds and explosions. I was like, what the fuck is she watching? So I went to my room. She's fast asleep and God knows what she was watching when she fell asleep. But there was like, she was watching like a 4-hour playthrough of the 2011 Modern Warfare. Just some guy, like a 4-hour video of him playing Call of Duty. I was like, what is going on in this house?
Oh, mad.
So I'm assuming she's probably fallen asleep like watching like Roblox or Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's just kind of gone
it's just
on.
caught on afterwards. I might watch that.
I might, yeah. Right, we've only got about 10 minutes left, so we're actually saved from doing Snack of the Week this week. So me and Ryan got together just before Angus was trying to work out the sound, and he said, shit, what we're going to do for Snack of the Week. So we went through a list of things that we might both have in the house, Galaxy and crisps and bits and bobs, and it turned out the only thing that we both have in the house that was matching was lettuce, a nice iceberg lettuce. So we was going to do an iceberg lettuce as Snack of the Week this week, but we haven't got time. So guys, just imagine Drew Flanagan singing Snack of the Week, because you're not going to get it this week, I'm afraid.
Sad times, very sad times.
Sad times. We're not even going to have time for top trends this week either.
We're not. We've just been absorbed by the world of Studio Ghibli. And you didn't know what? We've not even scratched the surface, have we, really? Because there's so much more we could say. Yeah.
But for the last few minutes, there was something that you wanted to discuss. It's a very sad day for Ryan Chittenden and Into the Podcast, isn't it?
It is. And not just for Into the Podcast, but for a lot of fans around the world, especially Lord of the Rings fans, because Bernard Hill has sadly passed away at age 79. So most people will know Bernard Hill as playing King Theoden in The Lord of the Rings. So he's in The Two Towers and Return of the King. Massive role, hugely prominent, one of the biggest characters in the films. A lot of other people will probably recognise him as the captain from Titanic. That's probably most certainly his biggest claims to fame. And he's been in lots of other stuff. Like I think he was quite big in like the 80s and stuff, and like British TV, and he's like quite a regular face in British stuff. And of course, who could forget him in opposite The Rock in the Scorpion King movie,
which is madness in itself.
It's just ridiculous. I always forget he's in that. It's just crazy. But yeah, absolutely devastated, because you know that I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. It's like my favourite of all time, The Lord of the Rings. And King Theoden's, Bernard Hill's portrayal of King Theoden is arguably my favourite character from that. So that's the level of, I don't know, of love and respect and everything I have for him, especially in that character. And yeah, just absolutely gutted that he's died. And I know a lot of people are, like my Facebook, my Instagram is just flooded full of people like just genuinely gutted, because Lord of the Rings is such a huge part to so many people's lives. Like, growing up, like, I was, 12 years old when Two Towers came out, and I've watched it on repeat ever since, and Return of the King. And his portrayal as Theoden is just fantastic. It wasn't necessarily my favourite character from the book, but I think it's just the way he plays him is just he's able to deliver these lines in such a way, like he's believable. But in a world of fantasy where it's like hobbits and elves and magic and wizards, he represents men, and he does it so well. Like we're all men, and as a race. We're flawed. We have character traits, weaknesses, but his story is fantastic. He plays that. He has, these moments of arrogance and weakness, but his story is all of redemption and, the fact that it's never too late to do the right thing and to make those selfless acts. And it's just, I don't know, he just plays it with such power as well. To say, like, coming into it, he's opposite like people like Sir Ian McKellen, and he brought that to that as well, for say someone that's not like a Hollywood actor, I guess. And we're sticking with Lord of the Rings. my favourite scene from any film of all time is the charge of the Rohirrim. So it's Return of the King. It's when he turns up, King Theoden turns up with all his men of Rohan to save the day and like charge and face the orcs and face probable death. Yeah. And his speech in front of his men that cheers them up, even now, I've been watching that scene for 21 years, right, when it came out, Return of the King. And even now, his delivery of those lines, not just him, because obviously the music, the effects, everything, that whole scene, but he is a huge part of that. It still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Really? Even now. It's just so powerful. It's like, and everyone that listens to the podcast know that we are massive, massive film fans and pop culture fans. So to say that's my favourite moment of all time. Oh,
yeah.
And so it does feel like a big loss that he's gone. I know a lot of people are absolutely devastated. And I actually got the pleasure of meeting him. Me and our good friend Kyle managed to see him at Sheffield. He was at a tiny, tiny little Comic-Con a couple of years ago, back in 2022. So managed to meet him, chat to him. He was absolutely lovely. Got got quite a few photos with him actually. I've got his autograph. It's a nice signed picture of Theoden, and he's just an absolutely lovely man. And yeah, it's just a really sad day for a lot of people involved. But
absolutely,
I'll have to go watch The Lord of the Rings now. And
you're gonna have to, just out of respect.
Out of respect, watch it for the 600th time. Yeah,
so when Claire's like, Ryan, you need to cook dinner and get this bloody house clean. It's your turn. You're like, look,
Bernard, we've got to honour Bernard, and you very often stay at our house, and the spare room's full of all the pictures of people that I've met, and there's Bernard's up there, bless him, and
he watches over me while I sleep.
He does. So yeah, it's a sad day. It's another one of those. I think we've said it before. With a lot of people, that it's weird because when people die from films, it feels like we know these people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's they're part of our lives, even though we've never met them. And,
yeah.
Well, I have met him, but you know what I mean? We don't know them really. And it's just like, so it always feels like a big loss. I can remember us talking, I think it was about like when Ray Stevenson died.
Yeah.
Just sometimes some people that go, when they die, it just hits you on another level.
Doesn't it? Yeah,
so it hits different. And this is one of those for me, definitely.
And I think a big thing for that is like, these are the people that are there for us during our childhood.
Yeah.
When we're sad, when we're angry, when we're happy, these are the people we turn to, these characters. Granted, when you're watching Lord of the Rings, you're not watching Bernard Hill, you're watching King Theoden.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's Bernard Hill, and these are the people that have been there for you your whole life, making you happy and bringing you joy. And I know some people are probably just thinking like, shut the fuck up, that's so nerdy, but it's true.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree.
And this is why people like idolize over singers and reality stars and shit. Like, these are the people that are there for us in whatever medium we need it to be, whether it to be the way they act in a certain film or whether it just be the person they are, and we like watching interviews with them and like that's just how it is. And so when you find out certain people have died that you did grow up with and you do love, like, it feels like you're losing someone close to you, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sad day. Rest in peace.
Absolutely.
Kyle went to, our boy Kyle, who has been on the podcast before, he went to Liverpool Comic-Con, which you wanted to go to, but you was at the wedding.
Yeah.
Because there was some pretty big stars there, wasn't there?
There was a huge showing of Lord of the Rings characters this year. Bernard Hill was supposed to be there this weekend, but he dropped out on Friday, obviously because of... I would guess we don't know yet what happened or anything, but he was supposed to be there this weekend. But alongside all the four hobbits, they're there: Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Dom, and Billy. Orlando Bloom was there. How massive is that? He doesn't do Comic-Cons really. He never does it. I think he might have done a couple in his time in America because he obviously lives in LA, I assume.
Yeah.
So this first ever like European Comic Con, he was there, and Kyle has got a picture with him, which is incredible. So very jealous that he got to meet all those.
Yeah, I did text him the other day. I said, you promised me pictures and you've not sent them to me. So he sent me a few bits over. And I'll be honest with you, it's not impressive when you're spending all that money to take pictures with Orlando Bloom when I'm just, kicking back with Bluey and Bingo.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, I have to pay for that. They're my bros, bro.
Yeah.
Right, that's about all we have time for this week. We did have a couple of other bits and films we've watched, but we'll save that for next week because, we've stopped planning this shit. So it's always good to have something ready to go for next week, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I'm excited to talk about some of the films that I've seen and that you've seen because interesting.
Yeah, interesting. And hopefully, I tell you what, might be able to maybe get a quick game of Helldivers in after this.
Mate, yeah, that'd be good.
Maybe just a quickie, you know what I mean?
Just to see that it works,
just to make sure that it works. And then we can discuss, because I don't think we've really discussed Helldivers as a game. We've just discussed how we can't play it.
Yeah, because we tried to play it and the patch wouldn't allow us, so it'd be good to actually get on it.
It'd be nice to actually have a game of that, so cool.
Yeah.
As always, we like to have Ryan sign us off with some beautiful words. So, Ryan.
Yep.
Give us some words of happiness.
Of happiness.
I nearly said sadness, but I was like, why would we sign off with that? Happiness.
Well, happiness. Interesting. I mean, there's lots of happiness, isn't there? Well, I've just been talking about Bernard and it is sad, but I'm very grateful that I got to grow up with him as his portrayal of King Theoden, the joy that's brought me all these years. And I'm very happy that I got to meet him. And they say you shouldn't meet your heroes, but that's absolute bullshit because sometimes you absolutely should. And meeting Bernard was a very happy moment that I'll have for the rest of my life as well. So I'm going to sign off with that.
Nice. Rest in peace.